It weighs just 3.25 grams. It fits easily in the palm of your hand. You might walk past it on the pavement without a second thought. But the humble 5 pence coin carries with it a legacy that stretches across centuries. This is the story of a small coin with a mighty history. Coins are more than currency. They are tools of empire, messengers of power, and everyday companions in our lives. From the clinking of metal in a child's piggy bank to the strategic reserves held by treasuries, coins have shaped economies and mirrored the evolution of nations. Every coin you hold has a story etched in its metal, engraved in its symbols, and worn into its surface by the lives of millions who've used it. But while gold sovereigns and silver crowns get the spotlight in museums and history books, the smaller denominations, the coins that pass through our hands every day, often go unnoticed. And yet, it is precisely these coins, the pennies, the tuppences, and yes, the 5 pence, that often tell the most human stories. They are the coins we use for bus fares, for snacks, for tips. They are the coins we lose in car seats and find in coat pockets. They are the quiet heroes of commerce. The 5 pence coin, introduced officially as part of Britain's dramatic decimalization in 1971, is more than just a unit of money. It is the descendant of the shilling, a coin that once bore the weight of British trade, war finance, and imperial reach. From Queen Elizabeth I to Queen Elizabeth II, the lineage of this small coin stretches back through time, and over the decades, its size has shrunk, its composition has changed, and its designs have evolved. But its place in the national pocket has remained firm. Even today, as contactless payments surge and physical cash wanes, the 5 pence endures both as legal tender and as a symbol of Britain's coinage legacy. Look closely at a 5 pence coin, and you'll find more than metal. You'll see a portrait of a monarch changing with the passage of time. You'll see heraldry, shields, and designs that reflect not just tradition, but the identity of a nation. You'll also see the fingerprints of history, of world wars and economic shifts, of cultural revolutions and technological progress. Coins do not merely move with history, they carry it. So why tell the story of the 5 pence coin? Because behind every coin lies a tale of transformation. In this documentary, we'll journey through time from the days of pre-decimal shillings to the sleek, modern coins of today. We'll examine the political debates that shaped coinage, the artists who crafted the designs, and the public who used them without ever knowing the full story behind them. We'll uncover the roots of the 5 pence in a time before decimal currency, the major upheaval that was decimal day, and how Britain coped, the design evolution, style changes, and cultural impact of the coin, the stories behind rare and valuable 5 pence pieces, the Royal Mint's role in producing coins for a modern world, and the uncertain future of the coin in a cashless age. This isn't just a documentary about coin collecting, though collectors will surely find much to treasure here. It's a story about how something so small can hold so much meaning. Because when you study the life of a coin, you study the life of a people. Over the next 8 chapters, we'll peel back the layers of history, economics, and art that make up the 5 pence coin. You'll meet the artists and mint masters who designed and struck these coins. You'll hear from experts who understand the deep cultural significance of British coinage. And you'll see how this tiny piece of metal fits into the vast puzzle of British history. We begin where all good stories begin, in the past. In our first chapter, we turn the clock back to a time before decimalization, when a complex, ancient monetary system ruled the land. When 12 pence made a shilling, 20 shillings made a pound, and a coin's value was measured not just in numbers, but in silver, weight, and trust. Join us as we uncover the world that gave birth to the 5 pence. Before the 5 pence coin became part of Britain's daily currency, before it slid into vending machines and change jars, its roots reached deep into a world defined by a far older and far more complex monetary system. This is the story of pre-decimal British currency, a system that lasted for centuries, built not on base 10, but on tradition, empire, and centuries of economic evolution. 1. Puzzle of pounds, shillings, and pence. In modern times, we're used to currency systems based on tens and hundreds. 10 pennies make a dime, 100 pence make a pound. Simple, right? But until 1971, Britain operated on a system inherited from the Roman Empire and shaped by medieval kings. 12 pence d made a shilling s, 20 shillings made a pound, thus, 240 pence made a pound. These units weren't arbitrary. They evolved from weight-based systems of precious metals. In fact, the pound originally referred to a pound of silver, divided into 240 pennyweights, each one a literal penny. Hence the symbol d, from the Roman denarius. The shilling, as we'll soon see, was a key player in this system and ultimately, the predecessor of the 5 pence. But imagine life under that system. A simple transaction required arithmetic gymnastics. If a loaf of bread cost 1 second, 91 shilling and 9 pence, and you handed over 2 shillings, how much change did you get? 1 penny and 3 farthings, perhaps? It was a system few could master quickly, and yet one the British people used for generations. 2. The rise of the shilling, father of the 5 pence. Let's go back to the early 16th century. Under the reign of Henry VII, it was then that the shilling first emerged, though not yet under that name. Originally known as the testoon, it was introduced around 1503 to 1504, and valued at 12 pence. The coin's name came from the Italian testone, or head, referring to the monarch's portrait stamped on it. By the time of Henry VIII, the testoon evolved into a more established coin. It became the shilling, a name derived from the Anglo-Saxon silling, used in earlier Germanic and Norse systems. Over time, the shilling came to play an essential role in British currency. It was a sturdy middle ground coin, more valuable than the penny, but less cumbersome than the pound. It became a standard measure of payment for wages, goods, services, and military expenses. The coin's design often bore the image of the reigning monarch, along with the royal coat of arms. Its presence in everyday life made it one of the most familiar coins in circulation for centuries. 3. Trade, war, and silver. The shilling in society. The shilling wasn't just used at home, it traveled the world. As Britain expanded its influence globally through trade and colonization, British currency followed. The shilling became a symbol of imperial standardization. In many parts of the empire, including East Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, the shilling was used either directly or as a model. In times of war, particularly during the Napoleonic Wars and World Wars I and II, the coin played critical roles. Governments minted millions of shillings to pay soldiers, settle debts, and finance their efforts. Soldiers in trenches, sailors on battleships, and workers in wartime factories often had shillings in their pockets. Interestingly, the composition of the shilling changed during these periods. Before 1920, the coin was made of sterling silver 92.5 pure silver. After World War I, due to rising silver prices and economic strain, the content dropped to 50% silver. By 1947, the coin was minted in cupronickel copper and nickel alloy, no longer a precious metal coin, but a token of value. Even as it lost its silver, the shilling retained its place in British wallets and hearts. 4. A system under strain calls for reform. By the mid-20th century, Britain's currency system was showing its age. The post-war economy demanded modernization. Other countries like the United States, France, and most of Europe were shifting or had already adopted decimal systems. Britain's non-decimal setup was increasingly seen as inefficient, especially in education, accounting, and commerce. Retailers struggled with pricing items under 12 pence to the shilling and 240 pence to the pound. Children found it difficult to learn the system at school, and accountants faced mountains of conversion calculations. Public discussions about decimalization began gaining traction in the 1950s and 60s. Critics pointed to the success of the decimalized South African rand and New Zealand dollar as proof that Britain could and should modernize. But change was never easy. Some saw the old system as part of British identity. Others feared that decimalization would confuse the public or lead to price inflation. Still, the pressure mounted. The shilling, so long a staple, was losing its relevance in a world moving faster, trading further, and thinking differently about money. 5. The final years of the shilling. In 1966, the British government finally committed to decimalization. The Decimal Currency Board was formed, tasked with planning a national transition. But how would people adapt? The solution? Phased change, not sudden revolution. In 1968, 2 coins were introduced before the official decimal day of 1971, the 5 pence and 10 pence coins. These were designed to match the value and size of the shilling and florin, respectively, so that the public could continue using them without confusion. The 5 pence coin, therefore, began circulating 3 years before the old shilling was demonetized. Both coins existed side by side, interchangeable in value. The designs differed, but the purchasing power was the same. This was the transitional phase, a subtle introduction to a decimal world. And on February 15, 1971 Decimal Day, Britain officially said goodbye to the old system. The shilling was withdrawn. The 5 pence, once its understudy, stepped into the spotlight. The story of the 5 pence didn't begin in 1971, it began centuries earlier, in the silver of the shilling, in the complexity of pounds, shillings, and pence, and in the slow march of Britain toward monetary modernity. But that was just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll witness the seismic shift that brought Britain fully into the decimal age. We'll explore the debates, the fears, the new designs, and how the 5 pence coin found its place in the pockets of millions. The 1960s were a time of bold change in Britain. Music, fashion, politics, everything seemed to be moving forward. But beneath the modern surface, one relic of the past lingered: the ancient and cumbersome currency system of pounds, shillings, and pence. In 1968, that began to change. And at the heart of that change was a small, shiny new coin, the 5 pence. Part 1. A Nation Prepares the Decimalization Act 1969. In the early 1960s, Britain stood increasingly alone in its commitment to the non-decimal currency system. The logic of 12 pence to a shilling and 240 pence to a pound was deeply familiar but internationally outdated. Harold Wilson's Labour government, responding to growing pressure from economists, businesses, and educators, took a bold step. In 1966, it was officially announced the United Kingdom would decimalize. 3 years later, in 1969, Parliament passed the Decimal Currency Act, formally setting the stage for one of the most significant currency changes in British history. A new body, the Decimal Currency Board (DC), was created. Its job? Educate the public, work with banks and retailers, oversee minting and coin design, ensure that Britain would be ready for the big day, Decimal Day, set for February 15, 1971. The goal was a smooth transition, but the scale of the operation was massive. It wasn't just about replacing old coins. It was about reshaping how an entire nation thought about money. Part 2. A Familiar Shape. The first 5 pence coin, 1968. Before Decimal Day arrived, the public needed time to adapt. The government came up with a clever solution: introduce decimal coins ahead of time and make them match familiar values. Thus, in April 1968, 2 coins were introduced. The 5 pence 5p, equivalent to 1 shilling 1s. The 10 pence 10p, equivalent to 2 shillings a florin. This meant that from 1968 to 1971, both old and new coins circulated side by side. You could pay with a shilling or a 5 pence coin, they were worth the same. The 1968 5 pence was identical in size, weight, and metal composition to the outgoing shilling. Weight: 5.65 grams. Diameter: 23.59 millimeters. Metal: Cupro nickel 75 copper, 25% nickel. This was a strategic move. By maintaining physical similarities, The government reduced public resistance and confusion. The message was clear. This is just a shilling, only smarter. The man tasked with designing the new decimal coinage was renowned artist and designer Christopher Ironside. His challenge? Create designs that were universally British, elegant, practical for small coins. For the 5-pence coin, Ironside chose to feature the badge of Scotland, a thistle encircled by a royal diadem crown. This design symbolized both heritage and unity within the United Kingdom, and gave the 5-pence a unique national identity. On the obverse side, the coin bore the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Arnold Machen, showing the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. This combination of ancient floral symbol and modern monarchy made the 5-pence a coin that looked both regal and contemporary, an ideal bridge between the old system and the new. Part 4. Decimal Day, February 15, 1971. Visual archival BBC footage of Decimal Day, with shops, schools, and banks adapting. And then came the moment Britain had been preparing for. Monday, February 15, 1971. Decimal Day. Shops closed early the night before. Bank tellers worked overtime. Newspapers ran conversion tables and posters were pinned every classroom wall. Overnight, Britain's 100-year-old currency system changed. Prices were now in pounds and new pence, not shillings or farthings. The 5-pence coin, which had circulated for 3 years already, now stood on its own. The shilling was retired, officially demonetized. The 5-pence was no longer an imitation, it was the real deal. Remarkably, the transition went smoother than many had feared. Most shops were ready. Most people adjusted quickly, thanks in part to the early introduction of coins like the 5-pence. Still, there were hiccups. Confusion over new prices. Concerns over price gouging. Older generations struggling with mental conversion. But by and large, Decimal Day marked a successful rebirth of Britain's monetary system, and the 5-pence was at the center of it. Part 5. Public Reaction and First Impressions. How did the public respond to this shiny, modern coin? Opinions were mixed. Children loved the novelty. Many received commemorative coin sets from schools or grandparents. Elderly Britons, however, often struggled. They were used to farthings, halfpennies, and tanners. To them, decimalization wasn't just a currency change, it was a cultural shock. Retailers and banks found the coin practical and useful. Its similarity to the shilling made it easy to manage cash drawers and machines. Interestingly, some saw the coin as a symbol of Britain's shrinking empire. Decimalization was seen by a few traditionalists as another sign that Britain was losing its unique identity and conforming to the world. Still, as time passed, the 5-pence coin became accepted, normal, and even nostalgic, especially as the old coins faded away. Part 6. The coin that carried history. The early 5-pence coins, especially those dated 1968, 1969, and 1970, are now treasured by collectors. Why? Because they represent the first wave of decimal coinage. Coins like these weren't just pieces of money, they were symbols of transition, the bridge between eras. The 1968 5-pence, for example, is historically important, not just for being early, but for what it stood for. A farewell to imperial shillings, a welcome to metric logic, a nod to modern Britain's forward-looking identity. It also marked the first time that new coin designs appeared in the UK since the reign of George VI. Part 7. A growing system. New coins, new values. After Decimal Day, the 5-pence was one piece of a growing decimal system. New coins began to appear. Halfpenny p, 1 penny 1p, 2 pence 2p, 10 pence 10p, 50 pence 50p. Later, the 20 pence, 1982, and £1 1983, each had a role. The 5-pence settled neatly into everyday use. It was used for parking meters, pay phones, vending machines, train tickets, school lunch tokens. It was common, familiar, and indispensable. From its roots in the silver shillings of the 16th century to its sleek cupro nickel form in 1968, the 5-pence coin was born in an age of optimism, shaped by modernization, and welcomed eventually by millions. But the story doesn't end there. In the decades that followed, the 5-pence would change again in design, in size, in composition, and in public meaning. As Britain continued to evolve, so too did its coins. In the next chapter, we explore how the 5-pence adapted to changing monarchs, shrinking sizes, new technologies, and public taste. Coins are time travelers. They carry the symbols of the moment they were born, and over time, they reflect the world changing around them. The 5-pence coin is no exception. From its debut in 1968 to the present day, its face has shifted, its materials evolved, and its designs reimagined. Each change tells a story not just of currency, but of identity, technology, and national pride. Part 1: The Queen's Changing Face. At the heart of British coinage is the monarch's portrait, a tradition that dates back more than 2,000 years. From Roman emperors to modern royalty, the ruler's face has always graced the coin's obverse. For the 5-pence, this meant one consistent presence for over 5 decades, Queen Elizabeth II. But even one queen wore 5 different faces across her reign, each marking a new stage in her life, and a new chapter in British coinage. 1968 to 1984, the Machin portrait. Sculptor Arnold Machin. Age of Queen, 39. Worn on coin, a young, graceful Queen Elizabeth II, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. This was the first portrait used on the decimal 5-pence. Elegant and understated, it portrayed the Queen at the height of her maturity, and became one of the most iconic images in UK numismatics. It was used from 1968 to 1984, gracing the original, larger-sized 5-pence coin. 1985 to 1997, the Makhlouf portrait. Sculptor Raphael Makhlouf. Age of Queen, 58. Worn on coin, a more formal Queen Elizabeth II, now wearing the George for state diadem, with detailed curls and a regal demeanor. Makhlouf's portrait added a sense of royal grandeur, which some critics called overly sculptural at the time, but it became a familiar face on every 5-pence coin issued in those years. This portrait also bridged a key transition. It appeared both on the original large 5p coins and the smaller versions, introduced in 1990. 1998 to 2015, the Rank Broadley portrait. Sculptor Ian Rank Broadley. Age of Queen, 71. Worn on coin, a more realistic and mature Queen, without artistic idealization. Rank Broadley stated, "I wanted to show her as she is, not how she was." This marked a new era of realism in coinage. Wrinkles were no longer hidden. The Queen's portrait had become a mirror of continuity and service. Worn by age, but proud and enduring, this face stayed with the 5-pence for over 17 years. 2015 to 2022, the Jodie Clark portrait. Sculptor Jodie Clark Royal Mint. Age of Queen, 88. Worn on coin, a digitally sculpted Queen Elizabeth II, wearing the royal diamond diadem. The detail was unprecedented, her features captured in high precision. Clark's portrait was the first designed entirely using digital tools, marking a turning point in minting technology. It reflected a monarch in her final years, graceful, dignified, and timeless. Post-2022, the Charles III transition. With the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, the Royal Mint introduced the first 5-pence coin featuring King Charles III. While most post-2022 5p coins are still in limited circulation due to reduced minting of low-denomination coins, special commemorative and collector sets have featured the King's left-facing portrait. As per royal tradition, this marked not only a generational change, but a symbol of monarchy evolving in the 21st century. Part 2: Heraldic symbols from thistle to shield. Beyond the monarch's face, the reverse side of the 5-pence has also undergone significant changes, reflecting shifts in national identity. and design philosophy. 1968 to 2008, The Thistle and Diadem. Designer, Christopher Ironside. Design, a thistle, the floral emblem of Scotland, surrounded by a royal crown. This design was chosen to reflect the unity of the UK, particularly acknowledging Scotland within the coinage. It was elegant, symmetrical, and timeless. It served the nation for 40 years, appearing on both the original large and later smaller-sized 5p coins. But by the early 2000s, public interest in modernizing British coin design had grown. 2008 present, the Royal Shield. Designer, Matthew Dent. Design, a bold new concept. Each coin from 1p to 50p would show a fragment of the Royal Shield of Arms. When arranged together, they form the full shield. The 5 pence displays the lower right portion of the shield, with part of the Lions of England and Harp of Ireland visible. This was a revolutionary concept in British numismatics. Rather than each coin standing alone, they formed a collective narrative, a subtle message of national unity. The public initially met it with curiosity and some confusion, but it soon gained acceptance and is still used on circulating 5p coins today. Part 3. Shrinking the coin. 1990 size reduction. One of the most dramatic changes in the 5 pence's history came not in design, but in size. In 1990, the Royal Mint announced that the 5 pence coin would be reduced in diameter and weight, responding to public complaints about heavy coins. Economic efficiency. The shrinking purchasing power of 5p. The new specifications. Weight, 3.25 grams down from 5.65 grams. Diameter, 18.0 millimeters down from 23.59 millimeters. This new, smaller 5 pence coin was introduced on June 27, 1990, and the older, larger version was demonetized in December 1990. The change was mostly accepted, though vending machines and cash registers required updates. For most people, the smaller coin became the new normal within weeks. Part 4. From silver to steel material evolution. The original 5 pence coin was minted in cupro nickel, an alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It had a silvery appearance, good durability, and was resistant to tarnishing. But by the early 2000s, metal prices soared, and the cost of producing small denomination coins began to exceed their face value. In response, the Royal Mint began a massive shift in coin composition. Starting in 2011, 5 pence coins were minted in nickel-plated steel. Existing cupro nickel coins remained legal tender, but the change saved millions of pounds in raw material costs. You can test the difference yourself. Nickel-plated steel 5p coins are magnetic, the older cupro nickel ones are not. Part 5. Variants, mintages, and key issues. Across its history, the 5 pence coin has seen numerous minor variations, some of which are now considered collectible. Examples include 1993 5 pence low mintage, year due to high leftover stock from 1992. 2008, Royal Shield transition coins. Some were mistakenly struck with old designs, creating error coins sought by collectors. Proof set issues coins with polished surfaces, only released in collector sets. Each of these small changes reflects a moment in time, whether a shortage, an economic decision, or a design shift. The 5 pence coin may be small, but its surface holds the faces of queens and kings, the artistry of national symbols, and the changing values of a society in motion. From regal portraits to heraldic puzzles, from cupro nickel to steel, it has quietly evolved, always adapting to the world around it. In the next chapter, we leave the mint and enter the marketplace. We'll explore how the 5 pence coin shaped daily life, culture, commerce, and even found its way into language and legend. Some coins live in bank vaults, others are collected in albums. But the 5 pence coin? It lived in pockets, under couch cushions, in sweet jars, and in the fabric of daily life. From school trips to payphones, from vending machines to parking meters, the 5 pence was more than metal, it was memory. Let's explore how this unassuming coin left its mark on British culture. Commerce and Conversation. Part 1. The workhorse of daily life. From its launch in 1968 through the early 2000s, the 5-pence coin was everywhere. Bus fares, many local journeys in the 70s and 80s, cost around 5p 15p, a small handful of 5p coins could get you across town. Public phones. In an era before mobile phones, 5p coins were the lifeblood of communication. Got a 5p for the phone box? Became a common refrain. School tuck shops. Children clutched 5p coins to buy penny sweets, crisps, and mini chocolate bars. Parking meters. For decades, a few 5ps were enough to park your car. Vending machines. Crisps, drinks, or chocolate bars slotted in with stacks of small change. The 5-pence wasn't glamorous. It wasn't rare, but it was reliable, and that made it unforgettable. Part 2. The Pocket Rattler. There's something tactile and familiar about the 5-pence coin. It became part of the soundscape of life. The jingle of small change in your coat. The clink of 5ps in a coin jar. The rattle in a vending machine tray. Its distinctive small size and bright silver sheen made it instantly recognizable. Some even found it irritating, especially after the size reduction in 1990. People joked about losing them in their pockets, misplacing them in purses, or dropping them unnoticed. They're like silver breadcrumbs, one tabloid once joked. And yet, that frustration didn't make the 5-pence hated, just deeply familiar. Part 3. Language and Idioms. Coins influence language, and the 5-pence carved out its own space in British idiom and expression. Here are a few cultural references that emerged around it. Tighter than a 5-pence piece, a joking phrase used to describe someone who's very frugal or stingy. The smallness of the coin was equated with tightness or cheapness. Give him your 2 5-pence worth, a play on the classic 2 pence worth or 2 cents, adapted to a post-decimal world. Not worth a 5-pence, used to describe something cheap or without value, especially after inflation shrunk the coin's purchasing power. 5-pence rich, sometimes used to mock small wins or insignificant amounts. The 5-pence even found its way into playground jokes and Cockney rhyming slang, often used to replace the now defunct tanner sixpence. Part 4. The coin in pop culture. While not as iconic as the pound or as romanticized as the sovereign, the 5-pence did appear in various aspects of pop culture. Television quiz shows and children's game shows in the 70s and 80s often included small change prizes, including 5p coins. Music. A few novelty songs and punk tracks referenced 5p in my pocket, or used small coins symbolically in lyrics. Comedy and satire. The 5-pence was sometimes the butt of jokes about low wages, cheap government handouts, or miserly characters in British sitcoms. In the 1990s, a famous charity campaign poster showed a jar of 5p coins under the slogan, "You may not think it's much, but together, it changes everything." That sentiment stuck. It reflected how many people saw the coin not as worthless, but as a small piece of something greater. Part 5. The savings coin. While the pound or 50-pence might be deliberately saved, the 5-pence had a different role. It was the coin of accidental saving. Most Britons, at some point, had a coin jar filled with 5ps, not because they planned it, but because they accumulated. From change at the corner shop, from emptying pockets at night, from the back of drawers and cars. Over time, these little silver coins could add up to serious savings. Banks, recognizing this, even created change counting machines and coin deposit services. In the 2000s, partly to recirculate the countless idle 5-pence coins sitting in homes across the country. Part 6. Generational perception shifts. The meaning of the 5-pence has shifted dramatically across generations. For baby boomers, it was a newfangled decimal coin that replaced the shilling. Some missed the heritage, others embraced the simplicity. For Gen X, it was the coin of their childhood, bought sweets, arcade games, and served as the unit of independence. For millennials and Gen Z, it became a background coin, often undervalued, sometimes discarded, still nostalgic but no longer central. By the 2020s, the 5 pence was often left behind, in self-checkouts, dropped on the pavement, ignored in keep the change moments. Yet, it remained essential in exact change transactions, especially for those without digital payment tools. Part 7. The Humble Hero in Crisis. During moments of national difficulty, the 5 pence quietly played a role. Strikes and coin shortages in the 1970s made the 5p coin crucial for rationing resources and managing payments in a cash-heavy society. During the COVID-19 pandemic, coin use declined but cash-dependent citizens, especially elderly individuals, continued to rely on small denominations, like the 5p, to pay for essentials. Though often overlooked, the coin became a symbol of accessibility, a reminder that not everyone had cards, apps, or smartphones. You rarely hear anyone say, "I love the 5 pence coin," but nearly everyone has a memory of it. A first purchase, a childhood treat, a payphone call that mattered. The 5 pence may never have made headlines, but it made 1,000 ordinary moments possible. It's a coin that belongs not in the halls of treasure, but in the glove box, the piggy bank, the coin dish by the door. It is a people's coin, and its cultural impact is larger than its size could ever suggest. In our next chapter, we look at the forces that threaten this tiny titan's very existence: inflation, shrinking size, and the ever-changing cost of coinage. Once a proud descendant of the shilling, the 5 pence coin began its life as a symbol of modernization and monetary progress. But over the decades, something happened. It began to feel smaller, not just in physical dimensions, but in value, in relevance, and in the eyes of the public. This is the story of how economic change, inflation, and policy decisions transformed the 5 pence from essential to expendable. Part 1. The economic storm: inflation and devaluation. To understand the decline of the 5 pence, we must first understand the storm that hit Britain in the 1970s and beyond: inflation. Following the post-war boom, the UK economy in the 1970s suffered oil crises, strikes and stagnation, high unemployment, rapid price inflation. Prices skyrocketed, and that meant coins lost purchasing power. In 1971, a 5 pence could buy a pint of milk, a second-class stamp, a bag of crisps. By the early 1980s, it could barely buy a small sweet. Inflation had effectively cut the 5 pence's value in half, and the trend never reversed. Part 2. Real value vs. nominal value. The key distinction was between nominal and real value. Nominal value, still 5p on paper. Real value, what you could actually buy with it. By 1990, 5p had the real-world buying power of roughly half a penny in 1971 terms. This decline led to several problems. People undervalued the coin. Retailers rounded prices up or down. Vending machines and parking meters phased out support for 5p coins. Part 3. A lighter load: the 1990 size reduction. The 5 pence had another problem. It was physically large relative to its real-world worth. The original coin 1968199 was 23.59 millimeters in diameter, 5.65 grams in weight. It was identical in size to the pre-decimal shilling, which made sense initially, but by the 1980s, seemed absurd for such a low-value coin. So in 1990, the Royal Mint shrunk it. New size, 18.0 millimeters. New weight, 3.25 grams. The change saved money on materials, made the coin easier to carry, and aligned its physical form with its economic relevance. The public adapted quickly, but the reduction marked a psychological shift. The 5 pence felt smaller, less important, and more disposable. Part 4. Melting point: cost of coin production. By the early 2000s, another problem emerged: metal prices. The cost of Q-Pro nickel, used in 5p coins since 1968, surged. leading to a bizarre situation. In some years, it cost more than 5p to produce a 5p coin. This prompted fears of coin hoarding, melting down coins for profit, illegal in the UK, but still tempting. Massive losses for the Royal Mint. In response, in 2011, the Royal Mint changed the composition. Old coins, Q-Pro nickel. New coins, nickel-plated steel. This made the 5 pence cheaper, magnetic, and less appealing to melt. Still, the shift revealed a deeper truth. The 5 pence was becoming economically inconvenient. Part 5. Into the background, the Vanishing Act. By the 2010s, several trends conspired to push the 5 pence out of daily life. 1. Rounding culture. Shops began rounding prices to the nearest 10p to avoid dealing with 1p, 2p, and 5p coins. 2. Digital payment rise. Contactless cards and mobile apps reduced the need for coins altogether. 3. Parking and vending machine upgrades. Machines stopped accepting low-denomination coins, citing space and cost issues. 4. Public annoyance. People began leaving 5p coins behind on counters, in donation jars, or even in the street. Though still legal tender, the 5 pence had faded into economic irrelevance for many. Part 6. The case for elimination. The question emerged, should we get rid of the 5 pence coin? In the 2010s and 2022s, several countries made similar moves. Canada eliminated its 1-cent coin in 2012. Australia phased out 1c and 2c coins in the 1990s. New Zealand eliminated its 5-cent coin in 2006. In the UK, government reports debated the issue. Critics argued, the coin costs too much to produce. It's rarely used in significant transactions. Most people wouldn't notice its disappearance. But there was also resistance. The 5 pence is still used in exact change situations. Older and vulnerable populations rely more on cash. Removing it might cause price rounding inflation. Visual, news headlines. Calls to scrap 1p and 2p coins. Is 5p next? As of 2025, the 5 pence remains in circulation, but fewer are minted each year, and the writing may be on the wall. Part 7. Environmental and practical concerns. The 5 pence also faces environmental scrutiny. Producing millions of coins each year consumes metal ores, water and electricity, packaging and transport. Many coins end up idle in jars, dropped and lost, discarded in landfills. By reducing or eliminating low-denomination coins, governments argue they can save money, reduce environmental waste, modernize the economy. Visual oil mint recycling programs, coin sorting machines, raw metal melting. The Royal Mint has already begun efforts to recover metals from old coins, especially from decommissioned 5p pieces. Part 8. Sentimental vs. functional value. Despite all this, the 5 pence still has fans. Collectors seek rare mint years and design errors. Educators use it to teach children about money. Nostalgic adults remember it from childhood trips to the sweet shop. Charities collect it in bulk because even small change adds up. And for many, the 5 pence remains a symbol of stability. It hasn't changed much since 1990. It still bears royal portraits. It still counts, even if only in small amounts. The 5 pence coin has shrunk, not just in size, but in stature. It's lighter, cheaper, and worth less than ever before. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. It still carries history, still plays a role, still jingles in pockets. And as long as coins are minted, the 5 pence tells us something about the economy and ourselves. In the next chapter, we go behind the scenes into the beating heart of Britain's coin production. Where is the 5 pence born? Who designs it? Who makes it? How do billions of these tiny tokens come into being?
Every coin in your pocket, every 5 pence you've spent or saved, began its life here, in a high-security facility just outside Cardiff, in the town of Lantricent. This is the Royal Mint, the birthplace of Britain's currency, a forge of history, and the beating heart of modern coin production. Welcome to the 6th chapter of our journey, a look behind the curtain at how the 5 pence coin is made. Part 1. The Royal Mint, a brief history. The Royal Mint is one of the oldest institutions in the United Kingdom, with a lineage stretching over 1,100 years. Founded around 886 AD during the reign of Alfred the Great, originally based in the Tower of London for over 500 years, moved to Tower Hill in the 1800s due to increasing demand and security concerns. In 1968, construction began on the new Royal Mint site in Lantricent, South Wales, just in time for decimalisation. Why the move? Because decimalisation required massive coin production, billions of coins, and the old facilities couldn't keep up. Today, the Royal Mint produces over 3.3 billion coins a year, strikes coins not just for the UK, but for over 60 countries worldwide, houses a museum, visitor center, and secure vaults. It is one of the most advanced mints in the world. Part 2. The life of a 5-pence coin, step by step. Let's follow the journey of a 5-pence coin, from raw metal to your pocket. 1. Material sourcing. Since 2011, 5-pence coins are made from nickel-plated steel, a steel core for strength and economy, coated in nickel for shine, corrosion resistance, and magnetism. The Royal Mint sources its metals from certified suppliers in the UK and Europe, recycled materials wherever possible, internal recovery processes, old coins and scrap. Environmental responsibility is growing in importance, so reducing metal waste is now a core mission. 2. Blanking. The metal arrives in large coils and is unrolled, flattened, and punched into small discs called blanks, the unstruck precursors to coins. For the 5p, blanks measure 18 millimeters in diameter, are polished to remove impurities. Quality is controlled with laser sensors. Blanks are then heat-treated and cleaned to prepare for striking. Visual, machinery slicing coin blanks, glowing metal, workers inspecting samples. 3. Striking. This is where the magic happens. Blanks are fed into a high-speed coining press. Each is struck with over 50 tons of pressure using specially engraved dies. Obverse, the monarch's portrait. Reverse, the design, e.g., lion or shield. Each strike lasts just milliseconds, yet the detail is precise down to the millimeter. Modern presses can strike 750 coins per minute, with virtually zero error margin. 4. Edge and rimming. Unlike some larger coins, 5-pence pieces have a milled edge, a series of small ridges around the rim. This serves 3 purposes: tactile differentiation, anti-counterfeiting, aesthetic appeal. After striking, coins go through rimming machines that ensure every edge is uniform. 5. Inspection and quality control. Every batch of 5p coins is inspected, both visually and electronically, for flaws like off-center strikes, die cracks, or plating issues. Using X-ray fluorescence to confirm metal composition. Rejected coins are melted and reprocessed. Nothing is wasted. Part 3. Designers behind the coin. Each 5-pence coin is a canvas for history, royalty, and national identity. But who decides what goes on it? Meet the designers. Christopher Ironside, designer of the original 1968 5-pence reverse heraldic lion, a celebrated artist and numismatist. His lion symbolized strength, monarchy, and continuity. Matthew Dent. In 2008, he introduced a revolutionary new design. Instead of a standalone image, each denomination formed part of the royal shield. When arranged together, coins from 1p to 50p reveal the complete emblem. The 5-pence displays the lower right portion of the shield, showcasing the Lion of England. Obverse designers. Portraits of Queen Elizabeth II across the years were crafted by Arnold Machin, 1968 to 1984, Raphael Maclouf, 1985 to 1997, Ian Rank Broadley, 1998 to 2015, Jody Clark, 2015 to 2022, and, following the Queen's passing, Martin Jennings designed the new portrait of King Charles III, introduced in late 2022. Part 4. Mint marks, proofs, and collector variants. While standard 5-pence coins circulate widely, there are special issues as well. Mint marks. The UK doesn't commonly use mint marks like the US, but occasionally coins feature privy marks for commemoratives, special anniversary marks, experimental or preview issues. Proof coins. Proofs are struck multiple times for extra clarity, polished to a mirror finish, packaged in presentation cases for collectors. 5-pence proof coins are included in annual proof sets, commemorative editions, limited releases for specific events, e.g., royal birthdays. These never enter circulation and can become highly valuable. BU, brilliant uncirculated. BU coins are struck once, but with extra care, sharper detail, and cleaner fields. Ideal for first-time collectors. Part 5. Security, automation, and scale. The Royal Mint operates like a fortress meets factory. 24/7 surveillance. Identity scans and access levels. Coins tracked from creation to dispatch. It is also highly automated. Robots move bulk coin bins. Optical scanners check for flaws. Conveyor belts stretch across entire buildings. Despite this, skilled staff oversee every process. It's a balance of human precision and machine efficiency. Part 6. From mint to market. Once minted, coins are counted, bagged in standard quantities, e.g., 100 pounds in 5p coins equals 2,000 coins. Shipped to banks, cash centers, and retailers. Coins enter circulation via ATMs, supermarkets, post offices, Royal Mail postage machines. Some take weeks to reach the public. Others sit in bank vaults for years, only released when needed. Part 7. The human touch. Stories from the mint. Over the decades, staff at the Royal Mint have seen it all. Royal visits, Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Charles, foreign dignitaries. Coining errors that became rare collector's items. Generational workers, grandparents training grandchildren. The pride of producing coins that travel the world. One former engineer recalled, "I saw my handiwork in someone's hand on the tube one day. Just a 5-pence, but I smiled. That was my work." Another technician said, "We once minted coins for a country we'd never even heard of. Now my kids collect them all." Narrator. Every 5-pence coin has a story, etched in metal, born in fire, shaped by art, and guided by unseen hands. From raw steel to royal design. From polished blanks to your pocket change, this coin's journey is a marvel of precision, tradition, and trust. As we leave the Royal Mint, our path leads us to another world, that of collectors. Who hunts 5-pence coins? What makes them valuable? What are the rarest of the rare? For some, it begins with a single coin, a glint of silver found on the floor of a cafe, or a coin in Nan's purse that looked just a little bit different. It's humble, small, and often overlooked. And yet, for thousands across the UK and beyond, the 5-pence coin is a gateway into the fascinating world of numismatics. So why collect such a small denomination? Affordability. Unlike rare sovereigns or pre-Victorian silver crowns, 5-pence coins are attainable. Many collectors start with what they find in their pocket change. There's no need for deep pockets, just a curious eye and a patient spirit. Accessibility. Every time you receive change, visit a shop, or dig through a coin jar, you're participating in the great hunt. It's collecting without the barrier of rarity, at least at first. Variety. Across decades of minting, 5-pence coins have seen changes in portraits of monarchs, reverse designs, materials and minting methods, circulation policies. Each shift creates new branches in the collector's tree. The hidden challenge. Subtle design differences, low mintage years, or rare minting errors offer a quiet thrill for those in the know. It's a puzzle, a treasure hunt, and once you're hooked, every 5p becomes a potential gem. Technology has helped fuel the craze. Mobile apps now allow collectors to scan, catalog, and track their finds. YouTube channels, TikTok numismatists, and Facebook groups bring enthusiasts together. Suddenly, the 5-pence isn't just spare change, it's a talking point, a story, and sometimes a tiny fortune. Part 2. What makes a 5-pence valuable? So what transforms a humble coin into something sought after? 1. Rarity. This is the number one driver. A coin that was minted in low numbers is, by definition, harder to find and more desirable to collectors. For the 5-pence, years like 1993, which saw no coins enter general circulation, have become especially coveted. 2. Condition. Grading is key. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially one still in a royal mint pack or proof set, will always command more than a worn example from your change. Collectors often grade coins from poor to brilliant uncirculated BU, with proof coins at the top of the pyramid. 3. Errors. This is where the excitement really ramps up. Error coins, also called minting anomalies, can include a double strikes, off-center designs, blank planchets, die cracks, incorrect plating. Some of these fetch impressive sums at auction. The thrill of discovering a mistake that slipped through the royal mint's rigorous quality control is irresistible to many collectors. 4. Historical significance. Coins linked to major moments, such as royal jubilees, coronations, or the transition from one monarch's portrait to another, gain added interest. Imagine holding a 5p from the year Queen Elizabeth II celebrated her golden jubilee, or one of the first coins featuring King Charles III. These aren't just coins, they're timestamps. Part 3. Notable rare and collectible issues. Let's look at some standout 5 pence coins that collectors chase. Small blue diamond 1968 and 1969, the pre-decimal shilling twins. These were the very first 5p coins, minted to circulate alongside the shilling before full decimalization in 1971. They re-identical in size and value to the shilling, and are often mistaken for it. Though common at the time, uncirculated or proof versions from these years are increasingly rare in good condition. Small blue diamond 1993, the ghost year. This is the crown jewel for many 5p hunters. In 1993, no 5 pence coins were released into general circulation. They were only minted for sets and special purposes. If you find a genuine 1993 5 pence in everyday change, you may be holding a collector's dream. Small blue diamond 2008, a transitional classic. This year marked the shift from Christopher Ironside's heraldic lion to Matthew Dent's royal shield. Coins from 2008 can be found in both designs, making it a prime year for variety collectors. Small blue diamond 2011 to 2012, the steel switch. These years saw a change from copper nickel to nickel-plated steel. Coins from this transition may exhibit magnetic anomalies or small visual differences. Collectors often seek both versions, and some unusual hybrids have sparked significant interest. Small blue diamond error coins. Across all years, collectors have discovered coins with partial designs, missing plating, misaligned dies, weak or ghost strikes. Not all errors are valuable, but truly unique ones can attract fierce bidding online. Part 4. Proof sets, mint packs, and commemorative BU. Where can you find 5 pence coins in pristine condition? Small orange diamond proof sets. Every year, the Royal Mint releases proof sets, beautifully packaged, mirror-finished coins struck with exceptional detail. These are never intended for circulation and often include commemorative designs and special packaging. Small orange diamond BU, brilliant uncirculated sets. BU coins are struck only once, but with greater care than regular coins. They're cleaner, shinier, and crisper, ideal for collectors who want quality without the price tag of a proof. Small orange diamond commemorative editions. While 5 pence coins rarely receive standalone commemorative designs, they do appear in special packs tied to royal events, anniversaries, or coin design showcases. Small orange diamond packaging perks. Collector sets from the Royal Mint often come with certificates of authenticity, information booklets, collector folders. These can enhance both the monetary and historical value of your collection. Part 5. The community of collectors. The 5 pence collector scene is alive and well. Forums like CoinTalk and Coin Community. Facebook groups with tens of thousands of UK members. YouTube coin hunters showing their weekly change hauls. TikTok collectors identifying errors in seconds. Everyone has a story. I found a 1993 5p in my granddad's drawer. It paid for my car insurance. Layla, Bristol. I only collect ones with errors. I love imperfections. It's like owning a minting mystery. Steve, Manchester. I don't even spend them anymore. They go straight in the jar. Jules, Eastbourne. For many, it's more than a hobby. It's a community driven by curiosity, nostalgia, and the joy of discovery. Part 6. Market value and trends. What are 5 pence coins worth? Most circulate for face value, but rare ones can fetch £5, £10, or even £50 plus. A pristine 1993 Proof can sell for over £100 in top condition. Error coins, depending on rarity, might be worth hundreds. Key market factors. Grade. Clean, sharp coins always sell for more. Authentication. Graded and slabbed coins hold value better. Demand. YouTube buzz or news features can temporarily spike interest. Digital impact. eBay, Etsy, and private auction houses shape the market more than traditional dealers. And as digital payments rise, the charm of physical coins grows. Ironically, scarcity is increasing, just not always for the reasons we expect. Part 7. Voices of the Hunt. Behind every coin is a collector, and behind every collector, a story. I started with one from my nan's purse. It had the lion, and I remember thinking, this feels royal. Now I've got over 300 unique 5p coins. Tom, Brighton. The joy is in the details. You look at 10 coins that seem identical, and then you spot something, an edge anomaly, a date quirk. I'm on Birmingham. These stories remind us, a coin is more than metal. It's memory, it's meaning, it's mystery. The 5 pence may not command headlines or dazzle with gold, but in the world of collectors, it offers something better, a quiet adventure hidden in plain sight. From minting mishaps to monarch portraits, rare dates to error coins, the 5p has proven it's more than spare change. It's a slice of numismatic gold. Next, we take one final step in our journey. What role does the 5 pence coin play in today's world? And will it survive the digital future? There was a time when a handful of coins could buy a newspaper, a pint of milk, and a ride on the bus. But in 21st century Britain, coins, especially small denominations, are finding themselves on the fringes of relevance. Enter the 5 pence coin, once a proud representative of the decimal revolution. Today, the 5p finds itself caught between tradition and obsolescence. Let's be clear, the coin is still legal tender. You'll still find it in your change, tucked into charity boxes or hiding in coat pockets. But how often is it used? And what role does it play in a world increasingly dominated by tap-and-go transactions? Part 2. The digital payment revolution. With the rise of contactless cards, Apple Pay, Google Wallet, and online banking, small change is fast becoming symbolic rather than practical. Recent surveys show more than 80% of UK adults now prefer digital payments for daily transactions. Some retailers and cafes have gone fully cashless. Children and teens are more likely to have a prepaid card or app than a physical wallet. So where does this leave the 5 pence coin? Increasingly, it's found not in tills, but in charity jars, vending machine change trays, buskers' hats, piggy banks. It's become more of a passive passenger than an active agent in the economy. Part 3. Government talks and future threats. In 2018, the UK government floated the idea of phasing out 1p and 2p coins, citing cost inefficiencies and the dwindling use of small change. Although a public outcry stalled the decision, the discussion raised a critical question. If 1p and 2p are at risk, is the 5p far behind? Economically, it's a valid concern. Rising metal costs make minting small coins more expensive than their face value. Handling costs for banks and businesses add to the burden. Storage, transport, and recycling of coins, especially low-value ones, are logistically intensive. While the government has yet to signal the 5p's demise, numismatists and economists alike agree its future hangs in the balance. Part 4. Environmental considerations. Another factor reshaping the coin's future is environmental sustainability. Since 2011, the Royal Mint transitioned from copper nickel to nickel-plated steel for 5 pence coins, a move that made them lighter, cheaper, and more eco-friendly. But questions remain. How much energy is required to mint billions of coins each year? What happens to old or withdrawn coins? Can the materials be fully recycled? There's a growing push to green the coinage system, reducing production volumes, recycling metal from withdrawn coins, using more efficient minting technology. Some propose a future where small denominations are purely digital, used for rounding or micropayments through apps. Others see a different path, limited issue 5 pence coins, struck for collectors and ceremonial occasions rather than general use. Part 5. Cultural and symbolic value. Despite their shrinking role in commerce, coins still carry emotional weight. They're symbols of sovereignty, They bear the effigies of monarchs and are present in weddings, something old, something new, christenings, royal mint gift sets, souvenirs and keepsakes. The 5 pence, specifically, continues to feature in annual collector sets, commemorative gift packs, baby's first coin editions. Its presence in daily transactions may be fading, but its symbolic and cultural relevance endures. Part 6. The numismatic future. If general circulation declines, could the 5 pence find new life in the hands of collectors? Many believe so. The precedent exists. Coins like the farthing, florin, and half-crown vanished from tills long ago, but they still hold strong collector interest. Similarly, the 5 pence could shift towards special collector issues only, be minted in lower quantities, take on new reverse designs or medals, feature limited royal commemorations. Imagine a future where 5 pence coins are released annually with designs reflecting national landmarks, historical events, or royal achievements, much like the 2-pound coin or 50p series. Such strategies revitalize interest, boost numismatic tourism, and keep coins relevant, even as cash use declines. Part 7. Public opinion. We asked collectors, shopkeepers, and casual citizens, should the 5 pence be retired? Their answers reflect a nation divided. I rarely use it, but it'd be sad to see it go. And Liverpool. It's annoying to count and easy to lose. Let the 10p be the smallest. Kieran, London. I collect 5p coins with my daughter. It's part of our Saturday routine. Jaden, Cardiff. These views highlight an important truth. Value is not just economic, it's emotional. The 5 pence coin may be worth only a fraction of a pound, but it's worth much more in stories, memories, and heritage. Part 8. The 5 pence tomorrow. So where does the 5 pence go from here? 3 possible futures lie ahead. 1. Gradual withdrawal. Over time, the coin might simply fade from circulation, no announcements, just diminishing presence. 2. Collector evolution. It could transform into a numismatic-only coin, minted for sets and ceremonial use. 3. Revival by relevance. Creative redesigns or a public campaign could give the 5p a second wind, especially among young collectors and heritage lovers. Whichever path it takes, one thing is clear. The 5 pence has already earned its place in Britain's coinage legacy. From the days of shillings and decimalization to contactless payments and blockchain apps, it has adapted, survived, and remained a silent witness to history. Narrator. As we close in on the final chapter of this journey, we leave you with a challenge. Next time you find a 5 pence in your pocket, don't overlook it. Turn it over. Look at the year. Study the design. Ask where it's been.
Because even the smallest coin can carry the greatest stories. Stay with us now for the conclusion of our documentary, a final reflection on the 5 pence coin's enduring legacy. It began with a lion, it became a shield, and through it all, the 5 pence coin, small, silver, and humble, endured. We've traced its journey from medieval shillings to the decimal revolution, from the clang of the royal mints presses to the warm, familiar rattle in your pocket. In an age when coins are vanishing into digital fog, the 5 pence remains a tiny token of trust, history, and continuity. This is more than just metal. It's meaning pressed and passed from hand to hand. The 5 pence coin has witnessed wars, coronations, Olympic Games, economic upheaval, and royal transitions. It has changed shape, size, and face, yet remained recognizable. It has entered piggy banks, vending machines, and jukeboxes. It has fallen between couch cushions and clinked into charity boxes. Forgotten at times, treasured at others. It survived the decimalization storm. It weathered inflation. It adapted to new monarchs, materials, and monetary trends. And still quietly, unassumingly, it continues its work. Why spend so much time on such a small coin? Because coins are mirrors. They reflect who we are as a nation, our rulers, our symbols, our values. They tell stories no textbook can, stories of labor, leadership, and legacy. The 5 pence coin isn't just a currency unit, it's a cultural time capsule. From the bold lion of 1968 to the elegant segment of the royal shield today, the 5 pence has always carried with it the subtle weight of symbolism. It is monarchy. It is identity. It is Britain in 18 millimeters of nickel-plated steel. Let's recap this remarkable journey. Pre-decimal roots, once part of the shilling, it carried forward hundreds of years of tradition. Decimal dawn, born into a new system in 1968, launched officially in 1971. Design revolutions, from Ironside's lion to dense puzzle piece shield, with monarchs' profiles evolving across eras. Changing materials, from Q-Pro nickel to steel lighter, more efficient, more modern. Cultural life, embedded in childhood memories, everyday purchases, and British pop culture. Shrinkage and survival, despite inflation and obsolescence threats, it has outlasted many. Royal Mint craftsmanship, forged with care, from raw metal to masterpiece. Collector's charm, sought after, studied, and cherished by enthusiasts nationwide. Uncertain future, a survivor in a world speeding toward the cashless. The 5-pence coin is both history and prophecy. It tells us where we've been and hints at where we're going. Perhaps you have one now, tucked in a change purse, wedged in the door of your car. Maybe it was your bus fare once, or a lucky coin you kept for years without knowing why. Pick it up, look closer. That's more than metal. It's monarchy. It's memory. It's time itself engraved. The coin in your palm has likely changed hands hundreds of times. Each hand with a story. Each transaction a moment of connection, trust, or necessity. That is the magic of money, not just its purchasing power, but its passage. While distinctly British, the 5-pence coin has also traveled the world. In soldiers' pockets during deployments abroad. In tourists' purses and coin jars overseas. In collectors' albums from Australia to Argentina. It is a coin of journeys, geographic and generational. It might be small, but it knows how to travel and how to endure. Will it last? Some say the 5-pence is nearing its end, too small to matter in a world of contactless cards and cryptocurrency. Others argue it's part of our heritage and should remain for as long as physical money exists. What's clear is this: its value may have diminished economically, but its meaning has only grown richer. Coins may come and go, but this one has earned its place in Britain's story. And as long as it clinks at the bottom of our wallets, it whispers that story still. So, the next time you find a 5-pence, don't dismiss it. Pause. Consider the hands it's passed through, the reigns it has spanned, the history it carries in its miniature form. It may be the smallest coin in your pocket, but it holds the largest tale. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the past, present, and possible future of the 5-pence coin. If you've enjoyed this documentary, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments, what's the oldest coin you've ever found in your change? Until next time, keep your eyes open. Your history might be hiding in your wallet.